So it turns out these individuals, these gang stalkers, I call them initially, it turned out to be some type of cult. Well, not some type of cult. It turned out to be a cult of lizard people, a cult of reptilians. Most of them are not human. And the only reason and the only way they're able to get away with doing what they're doing is, like I said, they have law enforcement participating, assisting. And they're able to influence people to look the other way and pretend they don't see what's going on. This cult of chameleons is, the main temple is somewhere out of New York City. Supposedly they are of all races and ethnicities. Not supposedly they are. They are of all backgrounds, all cultures, all skin colors, all complexions, all ages, all genders. They out here. They out here right now. We tend to think that movies is based on entertainment only. The movie V, just a capital V, V as a victim, has been remade at least 4 times, if I'm not mistaken. I remember when it first came out in the late 80s. I didn't get a chance to watch it because I think it came on late. And it was like a mini-series. Came on a few nights in a row. My father wouldn't let me stay up that late back then. He might have got a chance to watch it, rest in power, Pop. But I didn't get to see it. I didn't get to see it through the years. They remade it again a 3rd time, and I believe the 4th time, I could be mistaken, either the 3rd or 4th time was a few years ago, 2019, 2020 maybe, with the original Idris Elba dude. What's his name? Morris Chestnut. Yeah, he played the lead in the last remake of the movie V. And we tend to think all of these movies is just for entertainment purposes. It's no coincidence the biggest movies in Hollywood around the world have something to do with outer space, spaceships, UFOs, extraterrestrials, superheroes from a distant time, distant galaxy, that come from a distant galaxy. Everything involves space travel, aliens, extraterrestrials, UFOs, right? And so when we watch these movies, we are very entertained. No one can lie and say they're not, because these movies make billions of dollars at the box office. But when somebody tries to tell us that this stuff is real, like Dr. York, Chief Black Thunderbird Eagle, has been teaching for over 50 years, thousands of books, lectures, CDs, videos, teaching before the masses, and everybody called him crazy, thought he was crazy. And ultimately, he was set up and lied on by his own family and associates, people that he raised in degrees of knowledge, wisdom, and information and affirmation. Pretty much sold them out because, it's one thing for him to talk about aliens and UFOs, but when he started talking about the trust, the estate, all of our estate and trust that was set aside long ago, and under the codes, the United States codes is listed as a $48 trillion estate for indigenous people. He was able to bring that to the forefront and tap into that. Now you have people who call themselves emperors and kings and queens and all of this stuff that is trying to usurp or take over this trust, this estate that was set aside for the indigenous Native American people a long time ago. And it was one thing for him to talk about aliens, but as soon as he started talking about, as soon as he uncovered the fact that we not all African and we didn't all come from Africa, well, we are African, but many of our ancestors were already over here before the continental drift, before the great earthquake, Pangea, etc. We were already here, and many of us are the indigenous Native Americans. Many of our ancestors and great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents from the southeast, northeast, tri-state area, of Caribbean islands. We are the indigenous Native Americans, and yes, we are also African, but we were already over here. We didn't come over as slaves. We didn't come over on ships. We were already here with great ancient empires before Columbus arrived. This truth is starting to be exposed more and more now on social media, etc. A small percentage of Africans came over as slaves and Moors and mixed in. They too were here before the colonists and the Europeans. So really and truly, it's still just one family, same people. But the indigenous Native Americans, what you refer to as Indians, was here the longest, for thousands and thousands of years before anyone else arrived to the shores of North America and South America, referred to as Turtle Island. So when men like him, or master teachers like him, taught us that they're lizard people, they're reptilians, and that these movies have value, they have weight than just being entertainment, we just laughed it off. But it turns out, as most of his teachings is absolutely positively true. Most of his teachings is absolutely positively the truth. And there's nothing that he taught about or teaches about that's fake or phony or hasn't come to pass. Because everything he taught about is real, legit, and it comes to pass. So, when he taught years ago about reptilians and aliens and extraterrestrials walking around in human form, blending in amongst the masses, he was absolutely correct about that as well. Because this cult that's out here now, apparently they have a temple, main temple, somewhere in New York City. Apparently these are lizard people, and it's a cult that is pretty much hiding in plain sight. Very cowardly, by the way, because whoever they supposedly assume their target is, whoever they assume their so-called victim is, because everybody ain't gonna play victim. They have a need to gang up on them, seeing what your man, box a man, harass them, surveil them, and based on that, this is how they attempt to create that type of I don't know, anxiety or stress amongst these people, man. But if people allow it to happen and they ignore what's going on, they're going to be able to take over and be powerful. But if people aren't afraid to accept what sounds crazy and accept the truth and deal with what's going on and not be so quick to laugh somebody off the way they tried to laugh the master teacher off all these years, they won't be able to take over. It's crazy how Trump, during the Trump administration or presidency, you had Caucasians start to come out and talk about reptilians, lizard people, and everybody called them crazy and laughed it off. It's funny how they want you to think Trump is this evil, racist individual when Trump has done more, it seems like, right, than any other president, tried to do more than any other president since JFK. Trump was going to expose a lot of stuff. Under the Trump administration, he did have a lot of redacted information released to the public. Freedom of information. Under his administration, you learn that a lot of the secret programs that was just made to be rumors were actually real. And plus, the master teacher said that Trump represents the blowing of the trumpet in the book of Revelations, which it blew the first time, and we saw COVID and things change, get crazy for them. They're doing everything in their power to stop him from being president again, because that represents the second blowing of the trumpet. When they blow the second time, things are going to be way, way, way worse than it was before. Not necessarily because of Trump, but because that's the day and time we're in.